student loan forgiveness has become one of the most controversial and emotionally charged topics in American politics, especially in 2025. With over 43 million borrowers holding a staggering $1.7 trillion in federal student loan debt, the question isn't just about numbers. It's about fairness, responsibility, opportunity, and the future of the U.S. economy. But where does the debate really stand in 2025? What are the arguments from both sides? And what should borrowers actually expect in the months and years ahead? Let's take a deep dive into the student loan forgiveness debate, unpacking the politics, the policy, and the people caught in the middle. To understand today's debate, we have to rewind a bit. In 2022, the Biden administration announced a bold plan to forgive up to $20,000 in federal student loan debt per borrower. The plan aimed to provide relief to low and middle-income borrowers, many of whom were struggling after the COVID-19 pandemic. But soon after, the Supreme Court struck it down, ruling that the administration had overstepped its authority. That decision set the stage for an even bigger political fight. And now, 3 years later, we're seeing the consequences unfold. As of 2025, the Biden administration has shifted tactics. Instead of one sweeping executive action, it's rolling out targeted relief through existing federal programs. These include the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, income-driven repayment plan adjustments, and fixes to borrower defense claims. Over 4 million borrowers have already had their debts canceled through these narrower paths. Still, critics say the relief is too slow, too limited, and not enough for those who don't qualify under these specific categories. So, what exactly is being debated in 2025? On one side of the argument are those who say student loan forgiveness is a matter of economic justice. They argue that higher education has become a financial trap. Tuition costs have skyrocketed over the past 30 years, while wages have stagnated. Millions of borrowers were promised that college would lead to economic mobility, but instead, they're saddled with debts they can't repay. Supporters of forgiveness say the system is broken. They point out that even borrowers who've been paying for decades still owe more than they originally borrowed. For them, canceling debt isn't just generous. It's a necessary correction to a system that disproportionately burdens the poor and middle class. They also argue that forgiveness would boost the economy. By eliminating debt, millions of Americans could finally afford to buy homes, start businesses, or save for retirement. That economic activity, they claim, would more than offset the cost of cancellation. But opponents see it very differently. They argue that blanket loan forgiveness is unfair, especially to those who already paid off their loans or chose not to go to college at all. Why should a truck driver or factory worker have to subsidize the degree of someone who went to a private university? There's also concern about moral hazard. Critics worry that forgiving today's loans sets a dangerous precedent. Future borrowers might take on even more debt, assuming it'll be forgiven later. Then there's the cost. Estimates for large-scale forgiveness range from $300 billion to over $1 trillion, depending on how it's structured. Opponents argue that money could be better spent on job training, K-12 education, or infrastructure. And finally, some say the focus is misplaced. Rather than forgiving loans after the fact, why not tackle the root issue? College affordability? They advocate for tuition reform, expanding community colleges, or tying loan amounts to likely earning potential. So, where does this leave borrowers in 2025? The federal government is still actively canceling debt, but only in targeted ways. For example, under the new Save Repayment Plan, borrowers making low incomes can now make $0 payments and still qualify for eventual forgiveness after 10 or 20 years, depending on their original loan amount. Public service loan forgiveness, once plagued with administrative errors, has been reformed and is now delivering results for more borrowers who work in government, education, or nonprofits. The Department of Education is also aggressively reviewing accounts for borrower defense claims and closed school discharges, especially targeting predatory for-profit institutions. Still, most borrowers aren't seeing blanket forgiveness. The reality is, unless Congress acts with new legislation, large-scale cancellation is unlikely anytime soon. And Congress, as of 2025, is deeply divided. Progressives in the Democratic Party continue to push for broad cancellation, often proposing up to $50,000 per borrower. But Republicans, and even some moderate Democrats, oppose this, citing cost concerns and fairness. Instead, Congress has focused on small reforms, simplifying repayment plans, tightening oversight of loan servicers, and providing better counseling for students before they borrow. So, what's next? Many experts believe the real battleground will be the 2026 midterm elections. With control of Congress up for grabs, student debt could become a central campaign issue once again. Voters under 40, many of whom are deeply affected by student debt, are becoming an increasingly powerful political force. Meanwhile, colleges are feeling pressure too. Many universities are freezing tuition or expanding need-based scholarships. Some states are experimenting with free community college programs or income share agreements, where students pay a percentage of their salary after graduation instead of taking traditional loans. The broader shift in public opinion is also worth noting. A 2025 Pew Research survey found that 58% of Americans now support some form of federal student loan forgiveness, though opinions vary sharply by age, income, and political party. In short, the student loan forgiveness debate isn't going away. If anything, it's evolving. The core question remains: how does a society balance opportunity with responsibility? Should we help those burdened by student debt, even if it means others feel it's unfair? Or should we focus on fixing the system for future generations, while letting current borrowers deal with the consequences? There are no easy answers. But one thing is certain: until college becomes more affordable and student loans more manageable, this debate will remain front and center in American life. Thanks for watching.